Welcome back, everybody, to Books by Adrian. This is the podcast for November the 4th. And with me today is Bethany Votaw. She was our guest on Livestream Sunday this week. Bethany, say hello to the people at home again. Remind them very quickly who you are, where you're from, and what do you do.
Hi, my name is Bethany Votaw. I am from the West Coast, all over actually, and I'm an author and editor. I have a short story collection out and a thriller coming out in less than a month, and lots of other fun projects on the way. I kind of got my foot in the door with short fiction, and it's just grown from there.
Beautiful. Welcome back. For everybody at home, like the video, comment down below with your favorite short story collection or your question for Miss Votaw if you have one. The live chat should be going on during the premiere of this episode. So Bethany, I don't know if you'll be around that day, but I'll be in there. So if anybody has any questions that maybe we didn't get to, just throw them in the chat as well. And subscribe if you haven't done so. Okay, Bethany. How did it go on Livestream Sunday today? How did you feel?
It was awesome. If anybody has the opportunity to do anything with Adrian, say yes. It's always a great experience.
Ooh, I like it. It's such a good review. I love that. Incidentally, I do actually have a guest application form that's out right now. That was a beautiful segue, Bethany.
Oh my gosh, we didn't even plan that. Look at us.
You're a pro. Let's see here. Where is it? Here it is. So if you go to my Instagram, there will be a link tree, or if you go to the description below, there should also already be a link tree in there. And on my link tree at the very top, a little wiggly one is going to be this, the guest application form. If you are an author, if you are an artist, if you are a filmmaker, if you are anything that you take pride in that is creative and you want to talk about it and tell people about your craft and what you do and who you are, then fill out this form. Livestream Sunday Season 3 is ending in 5 weeks. After that, it will be on hiatus for a couple of months while I, come back with Season 4. But in between that, I will still be doing this podcast. So you can either be a guest on this podcast on the off season, or you can be a guest on both shows when Livestream Sunday returns. But filling out this application form here is going to tell me who you are, how to reach you, what you do, and this will help me craft an episode around you. Because that's what I like to do. I like to make each episode about the person that's coming on. Even if it's a discussion episode, I want it to be, wrapped around the idea of the guest. So please go check it out. Thank you, Bethany, for that segue. I'm going to put it away now.
Yeah, no, if anybody's nervous, don't be. Adrian has a very great way of going about it. You're never blindsided by anything. So it's a very comfortable, safe environment. If you're on the fence, just do it.
I appreciate that, Bethany. Yes, I always send out emails periodically before your episode 2, just checking in, letting you know, hey, here's the links for this, or here's the promo stuff for that. And I send everybody an outline of their interview a week ahead of time, so you have time to read through it, see if there's anything you don't want in there, anything you want redone. I'm here for you. I'm here for y'all. All right. Okay, so let's go all the way back and see what else we didn't get to. Okay, so here we go. What is your idea of success regarding Tracker's release?
I don't know, because I'm not planning on doing a pre-order campaign. I did that with Scribbles, and I want to see what it would be like without it. This is kind of an experiment. My main thing is I want people that have been waiting for it, because I've been talking about it for so long, to like it. That's the main thing. I just want some good feedback and reviews, and I hope people like it, because it's a story that's very near and dear to my heart. And the release date is November 27th, which is actually my birthday, and it just worked out that way with I was going to be traveling and then the holiday and whatnot. So I was like, let's do it the Saturday after Thanksgiving, not knowing it was my birthday until I saw it on the calendar. But I was like, oh, it's kind of serendipitous, because this is the first book that I knew was going to see the light of day. It was the first book that I was before I wrote it, I knew I was going to publish it. So I was like, it's going to be born into the world the same day I was. So just kind of ironic.
Yeah. Same here, man, because like, you know, I've told this story several times on my channel, so I apologize for repeating myself, but there's an important reason this time. I promise. You know, I was working on this like big graphic novel project for a long time with other creative people. We crafted the story together, and then it fell on me to write the scripts, and we had a very clear idea of what we wanted this graphic novel to be, and my scripts, in my opinion, were not that. Even with all of the groundwork that we had laid and with all of the, you know, the plotting that we had done together, when it finally came down to me to write the scripts, I was just too inexperienced to do that. I've been writing stuff all my life, but I've never like really done anything that I would consider a professional piece of work. And so I wanted to do that first, you know, and I didn't know what that would be, but I knew enough to set aside that graphic novel for a while and said, I'll come back to this when my skills have improved. In the meantime, I'm going to do something else on my own, because that's another thing. I have other people involved in that project, you know, like I want to put out the best thing possible for them as well. So let's just take a pause on that and let me put something on myself and write the end somewhere and actually learn, you know, who I am as a writer, etc., etc. And so after I wrote the short story that became the prologue, and I knew that it was going to be a novel, I knew that that was the one that was going to be published.
Yeah, it's weird having that feeling, and I think that takes guts, knowing like, okay, this story idea, this graphic novel,
this is the one.
It deserves someone who's better, and you're going to be that someone. You just need to give yourself time, and like
I'll come back.
That was like a couple of my first books where I was like, this is a great idea. I executed this horribly, and I don't know how to fix it yet, but that idea will be there later.
Oh, man.
And it was a weird feeling. I wonder if you got the same feeling I did, where I was plotting Tracker, and I was just like, okay, I know I can do this one. Like, it's just a feeling in your bones. You're like, this is going to be it.
Yeah.
And it's just, we talked about it in the interview portion. This book is just, I think I made it too emotionally valuable to me, and that's why I kind of been holding on to it, and I haven't actually hit the publish button. And so when you ask what's your main goal, I don't really have a sales number in mind, because in the end, like, eventually I'll hit it. I might not get it in the first week. I might get it in the year. Who knows? I'll always be able to like increase sales through ads and whatnot, but I just want the initial reaction to be like, okay, this is why we were waiting. I'm glad you did it, because it's a good story, and I want people to like it. So
the funny thing is that where you and I differ is, you mentioned you know, wanting the people who have been waiting for it this long, you know, who know you and have been waiting for this book, you've been talking about it, you want them to like it. And it's funny because the people in my life who would be those people that you're talking about, the people in my life who are like, hey, where's the book? Hey, where's the book? I want to read it, or whatever. It's family and close friends, most of whom I know, not I think, but I know, are not going to actually read the thing. My parents are not going to read this book. They're going to tell me that they're proud that the book went out and they're going to have a copy, but they're not actually going to read it. My dad doesn't read. He falls asleep as soon as he gets like 2 sentences in, or he reads the same paragraph over and over until he loses his mind. And my mom only reads in Spanish. She doesn't read in English. She just doesn't.
Yeah, it's not what she reaches for.
Yeah, it's not what she reaches for. So I know they're not going to read it. So I'm not worried about them. My wife, she doesn't have time to read. She probably would love to read it. She doesn't have time to read. She's a mom.
She's like, send me away for the weekend and I'll read it.
Yeah. Occasionally she asks me to read her something, and 5 words in, she's asleep. And I don't get it. Like, it just, she has trouble sleeping unless I have something really important to read to her, and then she's out like a light. So like, so I don't care if what I want is for somebody who I have no connection to, someone who I don't know, someone who I didn't ask to read it or write a review, to read it and write a good review. That's success to me. Is like when a perfect stranger who has no connection to me whatsoever buys the book, likes it, and reviews it, I'm gonna be like,
this is it, I've won. I think I had quite the opposite experience, because with my collection, Scribbles and Scrawls, I was not worried about anybody in my family reading it, because it's not their genre. Like, none of my family's read it.
Same.
I don't think they ever will. Like, like I released it, no one cared, and I was kind of okay with that because it's great. But like my dad was one of the first readers of Tracker, and so knowing that like, okay, this could be a book my mom would be interested in, or my sister would be interested, or my dad really wants to know what the final product is, that's like, okay, maybe my grandparents will read it. And I don't know, it's just, yeah, I kind of want more strangers to read it than family, but I know more family is, and that's probably why it makes it so much more nerve-wracking.
Yeah. I got stuff in this. I'm gonna warn everyone in my family. If they tell me that they're gonna buy it, or if they ask me for a copy, cool, no problem. Just know that I don't want to know how uncomfortable this thing made you, because it's gonna make you uncomfortable. Like,
that's what my mom with my collection. She's like, I'm so excited for you. Do I have to read it? I was like, no, Mom. Like, not your cup of tea. Like, if you happen to know someone who wants to read it, maybe plug that book. But yeah,
just tell them that you read it and that it's great, and pass it along. And
yeah, and like in the end, like the book isn't for them. Tracker might be up my dad's alley, but like the collection isn't. And so I just want it to be like, I started AuthorTube and like making videos and whatnot when I was writing Tracker, and so I mean, people have, since they've known me, it's been something that I've been working on, or just in my back pocket, burning a hole in it because it's been done for so long. So just to finally have it out there, I think successful release would mean it's up on time, no glitches, and people are happy with it. I just want people to like it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Maybe the next book I'll have bigger, loftier goals, but yeah, for this one, I just really want people to like it.
Honestly, I find that, the best books, you ask the writer what they were trying to do, and the answer comes back, I was just trying to write a good book. I hoped people would like it. And it's one of the greatest books ever written, or whatever. You just got to come at it with sort of a humility, the way that you do, where you're just like, hey, I'm just, I'm writing the story. Yeah, it is what it is.
The best marketing is a good book. And I think Tracker is one of the first stories that I told it in the way I saw it in my head. And it's not often like what you get from your head to paper is the same thing, but Tracker is. So hopefully it works out.
Now, I know you've mentioned on our previous show that the next thing you're working on putting out is the prequel to Tracker, and you're also working on another collection, right? Another short story collection. Dare I ask, were there any other projects in the lineup there? Because I know you've got a lot of stories, so I feel like there's a conveyor belt of stories coming.
Yeah. No, I usually have books planned like 4 ahead, and I'm working on like 1 or 2 at a time, but having those 2 in the future that I can kind of think about helps. So the prequel, it's going to be free for my newsletter subscribers, just as a way to get people excited. I'll probably post it on Amazon as a free book just to help beef up people finding Tracker. And then I have a collection that is more of a bittersweet, family-oriented collection, almost a magical realism, or surrealism, I should say. Nice. That's actually with my editor now. So sometime in the first quarter of 2022, that'll be out. So that's like pretty much done. I'm working on like 1 or 2 stories to kind of round that out, but that's pretty much done. And then I'm in the middle of plotting another long mystery, and I'm spending a lot of time plotting it because that's why I struggled so much with the Tracker prequel. It's because my outline was fine, and I ended up having to like write the story from scratch 3 different times because it just wasn't right. So I'm spending time because it's going to be a longer story. I'm planning for a longer story.
Spend some time on that outline. Right?
Yeah, it's a mystery. Yeah, so hopefully in 2022 you'll get 2 collections. One is just that like family one. One will be another creepy collection, and then hopefully my lawyer story will be done sometime that year, or at least I can announce when that will be done. I already have book 2 of Tracker written, but I don't love it, and given the absolute pain in the butt that writing the prequel was,
Yeah.
I'm going to give myself a little bit of space from the tracker verse because I'm not well known enough. It's not a big series that people are going to actually anxiously be waiting. So when I get around to book 2, I will, but I just need some space. Someone in the chat earlier was asking like, oh, I'm burned out on this book. What do you do? And I told them like, you can have space. It's okay to take a break. And that's what I'm going to do with book 2. So yeah, 2022, hopefully we'll have a full length mystery involving a lawyer and a murder, and then 2 other short story collections.
Nope. Lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff. Yeah, the middle of the story is always the big hang up for me is the middle. And especially in a mystery, you know, there's definitely mystery elements to mine. And you know, making the mystery difficult enough to unravel so that, you know, it's a satisfying payoff in the end, but also not so complex or ridiculous that it doesn't fit or that it's tangled up in knots. It's just, oh
yeah, or it's
why
like,
am I writing a book?
who knew that you had to like plan your red herrings so well? And it's like, okay, I want to lead readers to thinking this, but I want them to think it was their own idea thinking that. And then how do I write that so it doesn't feel like I'm pushing them to think it's this one person? And then
red herrings are hard.
well, and then it was like, okay, like my first thought of whodunit, that can't be it because I'm sure other people will think that. So I guess I don't know how you go about it, but I'm spending a lot of time with the outline. I'm calling it Project Lawson because that's my main character's name. And I will be sending it to Kent, who will just absolutely destroy my outline because that's just what he's good at. And hopefully I can start drafting that in the first quarter of 2022. But hopefully by then I have a very detailed outline.
I love telling this story about Kent because we were talking earlier about how, you know, I had this bigger project and I set it aside because I'm not ready for it and I'm doing this novel instead. And I sent Kent some chapters to read and he reads them and he comes back to me with like, dude, like this is awesome, it's really good, I really like it, like it's so big, blah blah blah. And then he gets to like the gut punch, which is like, maybe you should wait off on this, man. Maybe you should put this one aside and do something smaller, you know, and build up to this. And I'm like, that's what this is. This is the smaller thing that I'm like, I'm already doing that. I can't even do this. It just always cracks me up, man.
He and I work really well together because he is so plot oriented and he knows so much about plot. And I am very much like the line editor, and I can create some prose and I can look at it a little bit differently. So it's a good balance. But having some CPs and betas that can look at your outline will save you so much time in the future. So that's what I'm spending a lot of time making sure this outline is golden. Because then once I start writing, I write till it's done. Bless you.
Thank you. I almost blew my headphones off. I wonder if it would be too much to ask one day to come to you for editing the book. I mean, obviously to hire you to edit the book, because after I get the story structure stuff down, I feel like you're perfect for that line edit stuff. Like every time I've sent you anything, I get it back. I'm like, oh yes, look at all this red. Oh, I love it.
It's just fun.
It's cracked to me. Well, I love the red.
It's good. It's good. Yeah, because like a certain level, it's like, okay, you've written the story, the bones are good, but now you need to edit it so it's comfortable for the readers to read.
Yeah. And so it looks like you know what you're doing. It's very important to make it look like you know what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
How big a part does YouTube play in the success of your book release? How much are you doing with Tracker and future books through your channel and all that kind of stuff?
Not much. I started YouTube to find other writers. I don't think this is the place to find readers, at least AuthorTube, but Hannah and I, like I said, Hannah's one of my friends and critique partners. We're going to be talking a little bit more about books, and we'll edge a little bit into that BookTube territory, so there might be some overlap there. I want to do some reviews, because one thing about writing that I think we tend to forget is reading is one of the best ways to get better, is just exposed to either current trends, what's working, and then just being exposed to more stories and voice. So we'll see, but YouTube has been pretty much just like a fun thing, and I wanted to do it to help people. So I like vlogged my release week, which I thought was going to be simple, and I wanted to show people the back end type thing. And then something went wrong, and I had to show people like, okay, it is okay to advocate for yourself and spend 4 hours on the hold with Amazon so you can get the Japanese yen converted correctly because you couldn't do it on your end. Like, things happen, and I kind of want to show that like it's not the end of the world. And that's the beauty of self-publishing, and why I opted for that over traditional is nothing's permanent. I can always change things.
That specific thing is such a good example of something that I never would have thought of as a problem that might arise along the way in self-publishing. There's so many like little things as you're doing this process and learning about it that you go, I had no idea this was a problem I was going to have to deal with, you know?
Yeah, and like Ingram Spark is a pain, but I opted to go through that because I wanted this traditional size. And so I want to do some more like detailed videos to give people the help from the back end of how, like, this is literally how I'm going to share my screen, how you actually physically publish it. So I want to do that and help people in that way. Nice. I want to help people with some flash fiction and like keep it in the writing realm, but I am planning on bringing in some more book stuff. I have no idea how to track if what comes from YouTube translates to book sales, but I would like to think in the future I'd be able to look at that a little bit better, but that's not why I do YouTube yet.
Sure.
But I could see it being a valuable marketing resource in the future. I just don't have enough to market or experience on how to market. Mm-hmm. But I won't discount the reach that you can have on YouTube yet.
And you're right about it being a really good place to find other authors, not necessarily readers, because then that's BookTube, right? Like you have BookTube side of things and you have AuthorTube, and it's really hard to like cross over sometimes and like be both.
Like there is overlap, but not a lot.
Yeah, like it's weird, right? Like you would figure that the two sides would meld so well together. And
I thought that they would be a lot more connected, but it's really not, because you know, writing and reading, you do both things for very different reasons. And I think that's kind of like the major division of like, we write because we want to tell stories, and then people read because they want to escape the world. And yes, there's a lot of like similarities, but in the end, it goes back to the core of like, are you creating or are you escaping? And even though we're like creating stories, it is in a way escaping. But yeah, so hopefully in the future, I'll be able to like blend the two a little bit. But yeah, if you've been watching a lot of like AuthorTube and BookTube, you'll notice, I'm sure you can pick out like more differences and maybe have better ideas why there's not so much overlap.
For sure. And it, you know, I've noticed some AuthorTubers trying to reach for that overlap, but you know, I don't know. It seems like the right way has eluded us so far. I want to have a couple. It's something that I actually have. I have a little Grogu note here. I have a short list of people that I want to have on the next season of Livestream Sunday, and I'm trying to reach for, you know, very specific kind of pockets of the internet to like draw from, you know, because that's the thing, like our readers are not on AuthorTube, like you said. Our readers are reading and doing other things. So like it's interesting and like trying to figure out where they are and how to reach them.
Yeah, and it totally depends on your genre too. Like I know TikTok has become like a huge medium for especially young adult and romance writers. Like there's a voracious crowd looking for book recommendations through TikTok. But there's not a lot of like thrillers or short stories being marketed on TikTok because there's not a lot of readers who enjoy those things that are on TikTok. I think thrillers tend to go for older people like that don't have TikTok. And so there's a lot of interesting things, and I'd be curious to learn more. Barrett has like a series going on his channel about just how YouTube works and how the algorithm works, and I think in the future I can really series. Like that series I can use that to see if I can create some like actual marketing stuff. But for now, YouTube is just a fun thing to connect with people, and I'm gonna just keep doing that until I think I can change it. I don't know.
Does your what is something outside of writing that you've always wanted to do and haven't yet?
Travel. I have not left I haven't left the United States. and I'm planning on, I have places to go. And Hannah and I were just talking, she got some really exciting news, and she's like, oh, maybe I'll earn enough money with this thing that's happening in my life to like finally make it out to California and we can like hang out. And I'm like, or I can just go over there. Let's have a writing retreat. Like, I think that's one thing that I really want to do, is actually want to meet some of my online friends. I want to have a writing retreat. I want to go out and explore and experience not the United States, because I've been super fortunate enough to see a lot of the United States. Got lots of ideas for stories and whatnot because of where I've been able to travel, but I would love to spend some time and just explore. So yeah, that's one thing, one day. And a writing retreat. How much fun would that be? I want like an old cottage in the middle of the woods and a bunch of my writer friends, and we just...
Campfires.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Yeah, sounds nice. I keep trying to move out of Florida. You know, we've had to postpone our vacations 2 years in a row now, as you know, we know why. And like I want to do a vacation out to like Colorado or someplace like that, in hopes that my whole family will just fall in love with it and we can finally move out there, because that's kind of the vibe that I want. I want mountains and forests and rivers and streams and small towns and some big cities, but you know, like villages. We
lived in Colorado for about 3 months at the start of this year, and it was gorgeous. Yeah,
that's what I want. That's what I want. And to have a retreat up there, you know,
I'd meet you there. Heck, let's plan it. Let's go. Don just retired. He's ready. Like,
oh, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. I just gotta get the wife on board. The wife and the kids just have to fall in love with it.
Yes.
Go out there, get a real nice like cottage out there. Make it
so fun.
It would be the best. Does your chemistry knowledge come in handy at all when developing like sci-fi stories or fantasy magic systems or things like that?
Not so much. It's more when I'm reading, I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Like, you need a more controlled environment and whatnot. But the thing that really does help me the most is my husband's a physical therapist. And so I can be like, hey, what happens when you break your arm? Like, what happens in the first 10 minutes? And then would you be able to do this with a broken ankle? Or like, what would you do if you were in the middle of nowhere and you, I don't know, like dislocated your shoulder? Like, would you try and put it back in, or would you let it... Like I can ask him all these weird questions, and then like,
how awesome to be able to pick his brain about these weird and ridiculous things that we all need to know about as authors. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's fun. He's a great resource. So yeah, not so much my chemistry background, but more like just his like awareness and like how the body functions and like what happens after injury. Because there's been some times where I've been like editing for people or even reading stories, and it's like, I'm like, you wouldn't actually be able to like fix your knee like that, right, husband? Right, Malachi? And he's like, oh no, like you'd not be able to walk. Like, I don't care what you say. Like, all tendons gone. You will not have function of that leg. It's like, oh, okay. Like, good to know.
Yeah. It's nice to know exactly how completely inept my character is in this particular situation.
Yeah, no, he's a great resource. So
that's good.
Yeah, not so much my chemistry and physics, but yeah. Yeah, the body stuff is interesting, especially for the genres that I think we all write. We're like, there's action, and you have like jujitsu in your stuff and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, man. It's nice to have those people to pick their brains. You know, I do it too with the jujitsu stuff. For example, I'll call people up and be like, hey man, like if I had you, you know, in a triangle. But like
how would I get out?
Yeah, like how would you get out? Or like what, like, you know, and just kind of like figure out my fight scenes that way. I'm still really working on those fight scenes though. The fight scenes and then I, you know, like some of like the sex scenes, for example, are things that like are gonna be the last like finishing touches that I put on this thing, like the last.
You're like, it doesn't change the story. I just need to make sure it's clear.
It like it you know, it affects the story in one way or another, but I don't need to like focus on all the detail right now. I just need to get it done, and I'll be back to like put all that detail
fine tune it.
Make it really nice and flowery for everybody. But yeah, that's like one of those things where like, you know, the action sequences a lot. I'll just kind of put pins in them and then come back to them later, because they're one of my biggest flaws as a writer, for sure.
Action's hard for me too. Like I have with the prequel that I'm writing, I'm like, we've literally got like a fight, like a fist fight type thing, and I'm like, kind of. Do I need to go out and have some people like reenact this for me, because I have no idea how your body would react, and it's a skill. It's a not, and I don't think it comes by naturally for. Well, okay, Kent maybe, but he has a lot of experience. I just. Again, beta readers and CPs, they'll save you.
But here's the thing. You know, Kent has a lot of experience as a writer and has taken his experience as a soldier into it. But there's so many out there who have read their stuff who have, you know, this experience in real life. Even some of the martial artists around me in my life, when they write action scenes, they get way too into the minute detail of it, the left arm and the right, you know, knee or the whatever. And what I've learned is to keep it simple. You don't have to tell them he punches with his left, you know, just
unless it's very important to the story.
Unless it's incredibly important that it's his left hand for some reason. But yeah, exactly. Like keep it simple so that the action can just play out in the reader's mind as fluidly as possible for them. He threw a punch, he blocked a hit, he, you know, spun him around, whatever it is, like to keep it kind of like action based and not so much into the details of like the body positioning so much, you know?
Yeah.
You can get lost in that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I definitely understand that. Like there's a scene where one of my characters nearly drowns, and I've nearly drowned. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna like, I put out like this really beautiful, I thought it was great. I was like beautiful, it was detailed. And basically people are like, what is happening right now? And I'm like, do you not see that he is like his lungs are on fire? And I'm like, it's ironic that you're drowning and it feels like you're on fire. And they're like, oh yeah, that like totally went over my head. And I was like, all right, cool. Like,
interesting.
Cut. Like,
yeah. Your experience was too much your experience. And since they have not had this, they couldn't relate to your description of it. That's interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a fine line. Yeah, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Just like, okay, your readers can like pick up and fill in the details. You don't have to give them too much. But like in Tracker, there's a fair bit of helicopter stuff going on. And my little sister's a helicopter pilot, so I had her beta read it, fact check it, and she did great. But eventually she got so frustrated, and she's like, you just need to go up so you can feel it. So she took me up. She let me fly the helicopter. She's an instructor. She's allowed to do that. And it just put like a whole new perspective of like, okay, like this is how it feels. Hopefully I can give readers some sort of glimpse, because that's cool. There's something to be said about some fun experiences that you can put into your work.
You've got a colorful cast of characters around you in real life, Bethany.
I do. I am very fortunate. Although I kept calling the rotor blades propellers, and every time she would send me a text just like screaming, she's like, these are rotor blades. So I'll never forget that again.
They're not propellers.
It's like, we're not some little small plane pilot. We're the helicopter pilots.
It's funny what like people get like soft about because it's their like niche or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
I was trying really hard to not give too much information about helicopter stuff, because I knew inevitably there was going to be a helicopter pilot that was going to like just go into way too much detail. So I was like, okay, the less that I have in there, the better. And so I was like, okay, tell me what type of helicopters were used commonly in this time period. Tell me that, like, give me the mechanics. And then so there's this thing on a helicopter called a transponder. And it's pretty much like the last line of communication. Like every helicopter has one of these things that bounces off the towers. And it's very rare that there's a helicopter without one. So like I casually mentioned a transponder in there. And then my beta readers are like, I thought you said that there was like no radio communication. And I was like, oh, a transponder's different. And so they didn't know that. So I was like, okay, wait, I have to explain just a little bit more for the people that don't know.
Yeah.
It was, again, I cannot say enough about having good beta readers and critique partners to help you out, because they're going to save you so much time and effort and money. Like if you have good beta readers and enough, you're not going to need to go to a developmental editor. They'll help you.
Right on. Yeah, that's a good note. Sure. My final question for you. What is your favorite inside joke from the Discord server?
I have a couple. I don't know. I feel like a lot of them revolve around Richard and like pineapple and pizza. Like, that's fine. But we have like more recently an 18 plus NSFW thing. And it was literally purely started because someone was like, I have a very niche question for my book. And then of course it devolved. But favorite inside joke. I don't know. Were you around? There was something that Kent said, and it was a while ago. I don't know if anybody remembers, but every once in a while, this emoji pops back up, and it's a pair of socks. And it's because Kent was off somewhere in the desert. He was gone for a couple of months, but he was on a live, and he was talking about how it was so hot that he like graced us with the like he actually put on a shirt, and he's like, I'm just wearing a shirt and socks, and like Sui lost it, and that was like the thing. Like I don't know why, but every time like there was something. Like just socks popped up, and so there were just socks everywhere on this Discord channel. I don't know. It's an ever evolving group. If you, anybody's welcome to it. So if you want to share the link with that, it's open to anybody.
If it's not already down there, I will add it before this goes up on Thursday. I think it is down there. All right. Well, Bethany, thank you so very much for coming. Thank you for telling us all about your upcoming novels, your collections. I can't wait to read them. I told you before we went live that I just got a copy of Scribbles and Scrawls, and I can't wait to dive into that. So I'm psyched. I'm psyched for you and everything that you're doing. Do you have anything last minute that you want to plug or remind everybody about before you go?
I don't think so. I guess my encouragement and final words is if you're worried about writing or you're just starting out writing, AuthorTube is a really friendly environment, and you're going to find some people that want to see you succeed. And I think all of us in this community have the mentality that a rising tide lifts all boats. So people want to help you and see you succeed. So if you're kind of nervous about even like jumping into this community, don't be. And if you are feeling brave and you want to try something new, go ahead and fill out Adrian's little sheet and try and be one of his guests. It's always a great experience. That's me.
Thank you. And don't be shy about it either, guys, because like, for example, last week, Natasha Woodley we had with us. She's where I am. She has finished her first draft, but she hasn't put out the novel yet. She's still working on the editing and everything. And it's one of those things where like, that's okay. Come on the show and talk about it. Let's learn about you, about what you're doing, and let's see if there's anybody out there who might be interested in reading this book when you finally put it out. Like, fill out the application. Bethany, thank you so much. You've been a great guest. You've done half of the work for me by pitching my stuff. Thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Next Sunday, I believe we're back with Collective Tales Publishing, and that's going to be cool because they're a little indie publishing house comprised of former guests of Livestream Sunday. They have put together their own publishing house, and they're going to come on and tell us all about it. And that's going to be awesome. So Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as per usual. And Bethany, thank you so much again. Have a great one. We'll see you all next time. And right on, writer.